Good morning and welcome to this morning session on career development and entrepreneurship from the perspective of three alumni associations. I'm really happy to be welcoming you this morning to this session. We have with us three associations represented with us this morning. These associations are composed of alumni from three European programs: the Erasmus Mundus program, the Marie Skłodowska-Curie Action, MSCA, and the European Institute of Technology. Each of these associations which are represented this morning, you will see and you will hear that they have their specificities, but they also have a lot of common. They were initially set up to be ambassadors of EU programs, to share and spread their values, but also they were created to provide professional networks to their members. And since they were created, as you will see and hear, they really grew up and expanded in new areas. For example, now they're very useful for the European Commission to receive feedback, improve our programs, for example, through the regular surveys that they organize amongst their communities, and also to provide feedback on European policies. So as I said, each of these associations has its specificities. For example, the EIT Alumni Association focuses very much on innovation and entrepreneurship. It supports students and alumni to get in contact with companies, with NGOs, with public institutions and academia. You will see as well that the Erasmus Mundus Alumni Association, which is part of a broader alliance of alumni and student associations in the framework of the Erasmus Plus program, they support members to enhance their employability, social entrepreneurship, while the Marie Curie Alumni Association connects researchers throughout the world to enable transdisciplinary and international collaboration. So each of these associations has between 10 and 20,000 members. And it's my pleasure now to introduce our three speakers who are representing these three associations. So I'll start with Katharina Heil, who is the current president of the Erasmus Mundus Students and Alumni Association, which is part of this broader Erasmus Plus association. She obtained an Erasmus Mundus PhD in computational neuroscience, and she's currently the scientific project manager of two Horizon 2020 projects. We also have with us this morning Jeroen van Lent, who is the vice president of the EIT Alumni Association. He graduated from an EIT educational program, and he has first-hand experience on what entrepreneurial education can bring to a career. He has been part of various industry-leading companies, NGOs, enabling digital transformation in higher education and in Erasmus. And now his aim is to bring innovators and entrepreneurs together in a striving EIT alumni community. Our third member of our panel this morning is Mustafa Monir Shavrav, who is the chair of the Marie Curie Alumni Association. And after having worked 10 years in academia in the field of nanotechnology in various countries, he recently moved to industry, and his expertise includes science diplomacy, entrepreneurship, career planning for researchers. So and I'm Claire Morel, I'm the head of the Marie Skłodowska-Curie unit in the European Commission, in the Directorate General for Education, Culture, Youth and Sports. So in order to make our session as interactive as possible this morning, I'll start by asking a few questions to our panelists, and I will then take possible questions from the chat, and we'll try to answer as many questions as possible. So you will see that you have a chat box, so please don't hesitate really to send your question there, and we'll select them from there. So sorry, it's not in the chat box, it's in the Q&A box. So we will see this morning, and the objective of our session this morning is to see how graduates, how PhD holders can develop their career path in the current highly changing and moving times. So the representatives from the three alumni communities will present their experience, their contribution from their different perspectives. So be it students, researchers, graduates, They will, I think, in particular focus on the challenges in two priority areas for the European Union, which are digitalisation and the green transition. So I'd like to start now by asking a question to Katharina. One of the European Commission priorities is the Europe Fit for the Digital Age. So do you think that students, researchers, PhD holders have the right skills or the right combination of skills to grab the opportunities which are offered by the digital world and then engage in a successful career? Katharina?
Thanks a lot, Claire, and good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining us remotely from wherever you are. It's my pleasure to pick up on that question today in this panel. And yeah, I think digitization, we have all learned how important it has become, especially during the times of COVID. And we all really had to adjust very, very quickly. I think a very positive part that this kind of younger generation has is that we have already been used to using digital tools for a long time. And now having been put in such a situation where things just really accelerated, made us really take advantage of the technology that is available, which is very important, especially in times where we cannot physically meet, and to really foster interactions in many different ways. With this in mind, I think the high speed, how things came up upon us in the sense of having to adapt to these new tools and technologies, we also started to use them in a way which, yeah, is rather pragmatic. So to just basically use the tools that are available for the things that we need them. And I think our generation really has the power to now not just use those tools, but really leverage and go one step further and see what we can actually do in this digital world. And I'm convinced that we all have a really, really good background. We have what we need to make use of the technology, but we should also not stop and just leave it there. There's lots of opportunities. There might as well just need to be a little bit of a shift in mindset of how we use those digital interactions in a valid and way, so that it really contributes to everybody's daily life, but also to education, to research, to interactions, and in that sense, really also to the careers of many people in the world. We need to be creative. I think we should be open to also new ideas of usage of digital tools. But we are definitely in a great place, I think, to keep exploring, but to not stop where we are at the moment, but really make those kind of supportive systems work for us at the moment, where we really, really need them a lot, but also keep integrating them in many creative ways in the coming months and years, where we will hopefully move towards a lot more hybrid systems with digital technology, but also in-person meetings.
Thank you very much, Katharina. I think it's quite an encouraging and positive message that you are sending us, and maybe later on during the discussion, you will tell us how your association can contribute to this challenge of, let's say, shifting maybe the mindset, and see how you can how these digital tools can better contribute to education and research. I'd like now to give the floor to Jeroen. And I think we can all agree that well-developed social and transversal skills are crucial in the labor market. If you follow the discussions in the past days, I think this has come across quite clearly. So how, in your opinion, can we address the development of such skills in the digital world? And do you think that digitalization could put in danger social relations? How to make sure that young people will continue to acquire these social skills in a world which seems to be more and more digital? Jeroen.
Thank you for the question, Claire. Well, it's kind of three questions in one, to be honest. I think it's important to start for all of us to acknowledge that indeed we might have a challenge ahead of us when we look at digital technologies being used in more and more places. and how we get people familiar to be working in such an environment. I think, to be honest with all of you, this is the first conference for me to take place in such a digital format. So I think we all have to slightly get used to that. But then again, I think we can also agree that that digitalization is not going to stop, right? It's just going to continue and probably only going to be more. So I think we all have a joint responsibility to answer the third part of your question, how we can make sure that young people still acquire those skills. I think that's super important. So not sure I'm still count as young or an expert at all, but I think what for me was most important was really the change in mindset in all of this. So not to be afraid to solve a problem, to fix a challenge, or to look a bit outside of the box into things. And I think for me, this really came from being in an environment where there were other people with a similar mindset, right? So to be pushed in an environment where people work together across cultures, across time zones, across different fields of expertise, even across a pandemic now, where then the world actually seems to be a small place. And I think actually this is where the EIT alumni are quite helpful already, as we have a good network of people that are involved in all kinds of different corners of industry, of private sector. And what we do together is that we try to mentor each other. We try to make sure that everyone has peer-to-peer support in what they want to do. We organize things like hackathons, things like challenges, really to make sure that people get this little bit of skills outside of their core field of expertise. And I really think that that makes a big difference. So for me, I think the answer to the question is really to innovate already from very young onwards, to change up the way education looks at teaching people different skills, and see how we can push these young people out of their comfort zone, make sure that they go explore, different corners of what they might not think is the most obvious to learn, and hopefully impact this change in their mindset in a positive way, so they contribute to a positive change in the world.
Thank you very much, Jeroen. So you do not see any risk. You see more opportunities, I think, in terms of the fact that with the high-speed digitalization that we are seeing, that there could be some impact on the social skills of the young generation, which is being trained nowadays. So for you, you see more in terms of opportunities.
Absolutely, yes.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So now the next question is for Mustafa, who is the president now of the Marie Curie Alumni Association. We know that the current challenges for career development are not only driven by the digital transformation, but also by the transition towards a greener economy. We know as well that without a well-trained workforce, this transition will not happen and will not be possible. So do you think that we are doing enough, both at the EU level, but also at the national, regional level, to develop the skills which are needed to engage into these green policies? And how can we do to tackle the skills shortages for the green jobs?
First of all, thank you very much, Claire, and the organizer, for inviting us, especially me and the Marie Curie Alumni Association. As you know, we are an association representing over 16,000 members from 143 countries in the world. So when we talk about the greener economy, when we talk about the transferable skills needed for greener economy, we see that our members, our association, can make a significant impact. Now, to answer your questions, it's a bit trivial, isn't it? I mean, the first question, whether we are doing enough, I would say we don't know. Allow me to elaborate a bit. European Commission, as well as different national countries, are actually doing a lot. They are putting different strategies as well as different initiatives to tackle the green economies, as well as the skills necessary for it. However, when we talk about the skills, there is a clear gap. According to a very recent report by the Skills for Green Jobs, a report published by European Center for Vocational Training and Development, indicated that there is no common approach or even definition of green skills. So even within a certain countries, it is often hard to pin down a concept, and it might depending on the field. So this is the reason why I said we don't know. So first, we really need to know. We need to know that where we want to go and what is our current status. In order to do that, we first need to agree upon the list of necessary skills. And then when we know that what are the list of necessary skills, in the next step, we can see what are the strategies or what are the current status and where are the gaps. And when we actually identify the skills gap, then we can see how actually the green economy affect the skills need. If you ask me or any other organization, there can be a three broader level. For example, when we are talking about the green economy, that means we need to have a green restructuring, which means that there needs to be a structural efficiency or energy efficient building. So you need a new set of skills, designing skills, engineering skills. And then because this is a completely new field, that means there will be new opportunities, new job created for it. So this is another set of skills needed for future. And the third would be the optimizing the process efficiency. Now, how to tackle the challenges? We could go into two different ways. One is for the current generation, that means the current researchers, current workforce. Another is for the future. I would start with the future first, because we all believe in a brighter future for Europe. When we talk about the future, we could actually change the curriculum in a way that students or the educators from next generation already learn the skill from the very early stage. Just to give you an example, 20 years before, there was no courses in the schools on computer. But right now, it's kind of mandatory. So if we do that for the green skills or the skills necessary for green job, this would be one way to go in for the futures. And for the current generation, then again, we need to go back to the list of skills and see what are the necessary skills. So depending on the level, if it's the early career researcher, if it's completely a different workforce, we need to provide customized solutions. And there, I think the association like ours, MCAA, EIT Alumni, as well as Erasmus, could play a very important role. Because the skills, as I said, it is really dependent on the field and the country, it might be different. So we could provide this type of training necessary for the current generation in different career stages. So I hope that at least I could give you a very glimpse overview to your answer.
Yes, indeed. Thank you very much, Mustafa. I think this is, obviously particularly relevant because we are now, very soon, we will be entering into a new generation of programs, be it Erasmus, MSCA or the EIT, and the issue of the green skills, of how to make our programs greener, on how to engage the researchers community into these processes is essential, and we're working on this, as you know. So I'm sure that we will be collaborating quite closely on these matters in the coming months. I see that Julian Sauer is asking you to give the literature reference to the study that you've just cited, Mustafa. So I guess you can do it.
Yes, definitely. It's a publicly available research I can give you the link later on, as well as there is another study from ILO. I will share it at the chat. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yes. I don't know, maybe you can do it later on. I don't know if it's easy to do it now, probably not. We have two questions as well. I see a question from our colleague Brian Cahill, who has been quite active these days in the R&I days, and who is asking, if you want to make a career in industry or entrepreneurship, what are the advantages or disadvantages of becoming a PhD candidate or postdoc? This question is addressed to any of you, so I don't know if one of you wants to take it up.
Well, if I may, because of the academic experience as well as the industry. So I think that if you are trained in a PhD as well as in postdoc, there are certain advantages, because if we look at the PhD or postdoc training, it's not only a deeper scientific knowledge on a specific field, it's also how you analyze problem, how you solve problem, and how you see things. So the basic training is basically to give you a different perspective. Now, time to time, this is really helpful in industry, because you can think out of the box. However, I have to admit that being a researcher in academia, you do not see some of the other parts, like commercialization opportunities, innovation opportunities. What about the patent issues? So there are both pros and cons, but if you or anyone would like to start a career in industry, this skill gap basically can be minimized in a way if they're trained enough. In that note, I would like to also mention that Curie Alumni Association has several flagship training on how to get a job outside academia. We actually even published a declaration together with Eurodoc for sustainable researcher career. For example, Eurodoc also published a very nice survey, what are the skills needed for different jobs, and that includes industry. So if you'd like to go to industry, a researcher needs to think about that, okay, these are the jobs I would need in future, and should gain them, those skills from different organizations or training opportunities.
Thank you, Mustafa. I guess that
can I maybe add a thought to this, Claire, as well? I'm personally not an expert on PhD candidates, but I know some people in our community of alumni that have completed a PhD with exactly the ambition to get more into industry. I think it heavily depends on what the PhD candidate, him or herself, has as an ambition to start this project, this process. Because there are PhD programs out there that try to innovate. I know that the EIT and the KICS are having various innovative approaches to running PhD programs jointly with industry. So really making sure that this connection with industry remains strong. So I really think that if this is the goal, and if the goal is clear from the beginning, that a PhD program could definitely contribute.
Just maybe on a very short note from my end as well, I think a PhD or education, even at the master level as such, can really also be seen to give you time and an opportunity to expand in a direction where you would like to personally invest and then grow and improve on. So you just need to use those advantages and moments to really work towards that direction. And as the other panelists already said, if you have your goal in mind, it's a lot easier to work towards it than just kind of trying to learn something here and improving a little bit there. So yeah, using resources on what to actually add onto your CV to work in a certain direction definitely helps, but then the resources are there if you look for them.
Thank you to all of them. So I see that you are, let's say, seeing only advantages than disadvantages of becoming a PhD candidate or of a postdoc. The next question, in fact, is a question that I would have liked to ask you as well in the second part of this session. It comes from Ali Hassan, who is asking you, where do you see the avenues for collaboration between the three associations to help develop careers and skills for the future? I have to say that the idea of this dialogue this morning was to bring the three associations which do not necessarily are not necessarily used to work together, or at least on a regular basis. So we want to take that question. Mustafa.
Yeah, probably because we are already collaborating with EIT as well as EMA on a different level, but just to give you some examples, I think the collaboration with the Erasmus Mundus Association started in 2017, if I remember correctly, when we were invited to the General Assembly. And from then on, MCA chapters, several chapters organized joint training for the researchers, focusing for Marie Curie as well as the Erasmus Mundus researchers. And this is also continued in a really broader level in 2019, where basically MCAA hosted the General Assembly in Vienna, and we invited Erasmus Mundus Association to join our annual conference, and they also hosted their event there. So this was probably also from MCA side, this was probably the largest event we have organized so far, a single event where we had over 800 registrations from 60 different countries, and researchers get to know about the future skills need and also participate in the policy discussions. When we talk with EIT, I think this collaboration already started when our previous vice chair until 2018, Marco Mazzia, actually initiated this, and Brian Cahill was actually chair at that time, initiated with the collaboration with EIT. So together right now in the past years, we provided training on entrepreneurships. Also, we provided focus training with EIT and for the female researchers. So the collaboration is going on ad hoc basis, I have to say, but I think this opportunity, this platform will give us more opportunity to work together because not only EIT and Erasmus Mundus Association, MCAA is also collaborating with Eurodoc a lot on policy level, as well as Young Academy of Europe. So yes, the opportunity would grow in future, and we are happy to collaborate.
Yeah, I think as well from my side, it's of course not the first time that we meet. We've been in contact already in the past to see what things could be done together. But I would say, unfortunately, only on a ad hoc basis. I think when we have discussions like this, or we had talks before, I think I see big similarities between the work that our three associations are carrying out, a similar profile of people that are part of these communities. So I think this is, for me, it's a clear call to action as well, that we are sitting here together, that we need to integrate more, and that we need to do together more activities, especially to reach a broader audience, to create more value for all the individuals that are part of our community, right?
Yes, yeah. I think the value really lies in our members, and many of our members do feel associated to not just one of the associations we are representing at the moment. And this already gives a great pool of people and experiences to rely on. And yes, we can do more. We're working towards that. I think it's already been said, but a lot is already happening just because of exchange of people that are active in the different associations.
Yeah. Thank you very much. I think these three associations, as I mentioned in my introduction, have an enormous value for the Commission, for the feedback they can provide, constructive feedback. We don't always, sometimes have diverging views on some issues, but this is what makes us progress. So, and I'm sure that by, creating maybe a more stable dialogue between these associations, we will, their contribution will even be stronger. And the impact or the feedback they can have on the programs and on the EU policies can only be of a higher quality. We have questions now from Ursula Bogatinska, who is asking us, are young professionals joining your network already well equipped with digital skills? So we are coming back on the issue of digital skills. Are they willing to pass the knowledge to fellow alumni? And how can this be encouraged with so many opportunities around? And I think that's a question that I see there is a quite high interest in knowing what your associations can do in that field. How can they pass, how can they transfer that knowledge to other alumni, to current students? I don't know who wants to take.
I can also
Jeremy,
start.
go ahead.
No, I think we all do very similar things. So we'll try to also see what the others can do after. I think what is very big in the EIT alumni community is that we share a lot of information with each other. So it's a really peer-to-peer, volunteer-driven network of alumni that really makes sure that we teach each other the skills that we think are relevant for others, right? So where EIT has some formal programs that they offer that most of us go through. After that, we're really on our own as alumni, and we really try to do that together and to make sure that we can learn as much from each other as possible. There's various formats where we do trainings on different topics. We're experts on, for example, blockchain, AI, these kind of topics, go in front of the group of alumni and present on this topic to explore further what we can do together with that topic. But we also help each other out when it comes to looking for jobs, career opportunities, or these sorts of things. So I think there's a huge advantage of having this peer-to-peer connection with others that are experts in their field, but in a different company, in a different public institution, or maybe even pursuing a PhD. And it's great to learn from each other in that way.
If I may add here a couple of points.
Please.
Absolutely. I mean, transfer of skills is basically, and experience is basically quite important in the alumni associations, because if you look at it, we are a volunteer-based organization and we have a limited time frame. If we do not transfer the knowledge, the association will not survive. And this is quite important. Also, inter-association transfers of skills. I could name a few members who are actually active in both EMA and MCAA. For example, one of the EMA's current board member, Pablo, is actually also a chair of the Bridging Business and Science Working Group and organizing events. Now, how do we do that? So we basically have a thematic working group. For example, BSB. I'm talking about this working group a bit more because this is kind of the topic of our session, entrepreneurship. So they came up with their flagship event, which is called Researchers Meet Innovators. The first event was in Kiev last year, followed by Berlin, and hopefully this year or next year there will be more events. So there we do not only share our skills, rather we collaborate with the industry standard experts basically on different topics. Here in the Researcher Meet Innovator event, the goal was to any researcher or any student who would like to start their startup, how can they do that? Because, at the beginning, there is an information gap, there is an experience gap, and there is a skills gap. So we kind of address those issues and organize these events like that. And this is like a broader level from the organizational level, but also on personal level, if you join any of our working group or chapters, you would see there are so many active members. We have members in the right now. If I talk about the policy landscape, we have member working at the Director of Science Europe. We have member at Euroscience, ISE, everywhere. Royal Society of Chemistry. One of our board members is part of that. So if you look at the situation, also Cesar, that our members get active and share their experience with each other, and then they not only develop themselves but also their peers. And right now they are working in different fields, be it policy, be it entrepreneurship. So yeah, my suggestion would be to get involved if you can. And even though our membership is only based on the MSCA fellow, but we also allow guests to join our events. So this is basically for the wider research community. And on that note, I need to tell you that there would be a virtual conference Marie Curie Alumni Association will be organizing in 6th and 7th of November. So wherever you are invited to join there.
Thank you very much, Mostafa. I think the issue of the motivation is an important one. As you say, you are all volunteer organization, and I'm always amazed, to see the energy and you're putting into developing further those associations and setting up new initiatives. And I have to say that that's really amazing. I have another question now coming from Jose Carlos Camposar. He's asking, and I think you might have already partially answered that question. What do you consider are the key activities that your associations are currently doing or could be doing in the future to promote career development and integration in the labor market? Especially for researchers, it can be challenging to transition from academia to industry. I think this is a topic that you've mentioned. So does one of you want to answer? What do you do to promote this career development, this transition from academia to industry? I think, Mostafa, you have highlighted some of your activities. I don't know.
Yeah, also very briefly, I mean, we organize, so other than the declaration, so we see it differently. It's not only the promoting to the researchers, but also working with the policymakers. So this is the reason why we had this joint declaration on sustainable researcher career, where we try to include as many stakeholders as possible. Now, when we talk about the career path outside academia, we do organize regular sessions at our annual events, as well as the events like European Open Science Forum. We had a session upcoming AAAS in next year. We will have 2 sessions there on how to get a job outside academia. What are the skill set? Also, just to tell you that we had a project with the Flemish government where we actually find out what are the expectation gap between employer from industry and the prospective employee who are the highly skilled researcher. So this is a free survey. You could go to our website and take it, curiealumni.eu/CAUSI, and then you could see what are the skills you need and analyze this. So we are doing that again on an ad hoc basis through our research, through our different working groups, as well as the organization level events.
Thank you, Mostafa. We've just put on the screen now your details, and as well the website of the Marie Curie Alumni Association, where this, as you said, the result of these studies have been displayed. I don't know if Jeroen, you want to say something?
Yeah, can I add something? Because I think I already mentioned a lot of things that we do to foster career development and so on. But I think the key element here is that we try to do this peer-to-peer. So to give you a bit of a better overview of what our job portal looks like, it's not a place where we take offers from commercial companies and we just publish them there and people can apply. No, we intentionally ask alumni to upload those job openings, those vacancies that are there, so we can make sure there's a point of contact within our community that people can reach out to, right? Someone they know that they can ask, hey, how is this place? What is the kind of job about? What are the things that I'm expected to do? And this person could potentially also make an introduction in the organization or the company where someone is trying to apply. So I think for us, really, the key element of this is that we try to have as much of this peer-to-peer support as possible, get the alumni to share the opportunities that they have within their organizations. And they know very well what value they can get from other colleagues that have graduated from EIT labeled programs or doctoral schools and all these sorts of things. So that really creates a benefit for both the people looking for jobs, but also for the companies that seek people to join them, right? Because there is a personal connection.
Thank you. Thank you. I think this peer-to-peer dimension is interesting, and I'm sure that it's being developed through the other associations as well. I don't know, Katarina, if you want to answer. Otherwise, I have another question. Yeah, it comes from Gu Bing Wang, who is asking, will the policies and support be the same and available for international students who seek to develop their career in the EU, both academia and industry? I'm not sure I fully understand what, but maybe you do. You want to answer?
Maybe I did a bit. So if I understand the questions, that whether the support for non-European researcher would be the same like currently. If you look at that, this is the MSCA program for, right? Basically, MSCA is promoting not only the researchers from all over the world, the excellent researchers, but also it is a tool for diplomacy in that sense, because there are researchers coming from different part of the world and they get trained in Europe. Either they go back or start their life here, or go back to their home country and work there. So it's also kind of the promoting the broader European science vision. Now, whether this would be continued in future or not, I have to say this is probably not the scope of the discussion of this panel. Rather, the meeting which is happening 29th by the council members of the European Council, where they are proposing to cut down the budget. So on that note, as an alumni association representing 100 members from 143 countries, I'd like to ask the stakeholders, please do not cut any budget for the MSCA program. This is absolutely essential that we as a researcher develop ourselves, because MSc is the very few program where you have a specific career development opportunity, what basically the question actually mentioned. And if currently there is a rumor, or there is actually a statistics which says that more than 25% of the budget would be cut from MSc. This is something I would like to ask all the stakeholders. If you are a researcher, if you are a postdoctoral PhD researchers, please reach out to your local representative MEPs and share your voice, and also to all the stakeholders to really consider. In one of my questions, I already said that we need to analyze where we are and where we want to be. If we want to move towards future, if we want to give opportunities and be leader in the research and innovation, this budget cut should not happen.
But to maybe get back to the international perspective, yes, I think all our associations are international, and this is what makes us so special and so unique as well. We welcome people in Europe, but some go back to their home countries and spread the word there, encouraging new people to come to get educated, to develop as a researcher or learn about innovative approaches. And then there's no differentiation between where you're from, what you're doing. I think most of our members are just mostly intelligent, but especially motivated and people full of energy that want to contribute to our society and to the world we live in, and give back some of the value that they receive through education or their own ways that they have been living. So yes, there is no differentiation between anything. We welcome whoever is part of the team and the associations themselves as well.
Thank you. Well, indeed, I think your associations are not only focusing on European students, alumni, graduates. I think all the associations are open to the world. And in fact, it was the intention of the Commission initially in setting up these associations was to have a huge network of ambassadors throughout the world, of people who stay in contact, who share values throughout the world. And I think this objective has been reached even beyond what we were expecting when the associations were launched. Thank you, Mostafa, for your support for a bigger budget for MSCA. This is obviously not in the hands of the Commission now. I'd like to ask you if you think that young graduates are well informed, or they are informed enough about the existing possibilities for professional development, because we've just heard through your three organizations that a lot is being done to support alumni, to support students in further developing their skills, in career development opportunities. But do you think that they are aware? Do you think that they have enough access to this information regarding possible career path? And how do you see the role of your associations in making maybe these opportunities better known, and maybe to the European Commission as well? What more can we do?
I mean, maybe I can start to look at it a little bit more from a student perspective. And there, obviously, it's very key that universities communicate that offer to the people in education in the different places. But again, I think this really is where an association comes into play, and connections are key, and speaking to others really allows to disseminate information about different offers at university level, at commission level, whatever is available. Many other stakeholders are playing a really key role here as well. How to get that information, and if people are actually informed enough, that's a very tricky one, because we do have a lot more activity on social media. There's more and more information in the web or on the web, but that also sometimes makes it more difficult to actually filter and identify the real opportunities. And I think this is where we as associations can come in. We do, as we said before, work together. We do try to promote each other's activities and share the events and the offers that we're having. And I think it is really there where we might still be able to improve, but we're also other stakeholders, including the Commission, could help to support channeling that information to the right target audiences, also looking at the different levels, because students will need different support from researchers or PhD students or master students. But also, yes, as mentioned before, depending on the road someone takes, the support needed is also going to be different. Yes, we all need to be digital. Yes, we all need to be educated. We want to look into lifelong learning opportunities and so on and so forth. But if we don't target it in the right manner, it can also just get distractive and then somehow lead us into different directions where we don't really want to go towards to. So getting the right content about how to keep working towards a more educated future, or how every individual wants to take their way forward, it is key to get information channeled to the target audiences in a good manner.
Yeah, thank you very much, Katerina. I think Mustafa, you want to add something?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. So I completely agree with Katerina, but also want to give you different aspects. There is a beautiful quote for medical students. Your eyes cannot see what your mind doesn't know. So basically what Claire, you said, the awareness. Awareness is something, or the first skill what a researcher needs to have. Awareness of the skills they need, awareness of their current status. So before thinking about other transferable skills, I think this is something the researchers need to focus on. So as a researcher, they have their own job to get aware of the current situation. And there, as Katerina says, the different organization can help, because there are a lot of events, activities, awareness, what is going on, and things like that. But I would like to focus on a bit differently. I think right now, other than the MSCA, when I talk about the broader level, you asked Claire what Commission could do. Commission probably could do is put this career development in the legal framework of the funding organization for the fundings, for example. So this is something, I mean, when we talk about the researcher career assessment in future, this soft skills, transferable skills should be taken care. And if Commission as a step ahead do that right now, that this should be part of, I mean, MSCA is doing that. There is a career development plan, but I'm talking about in broader level, like all other fundings. And this should not be a mere checkbox, or researcher go to a 1 hour soft skill workshop and the checkbox is done and the skills is gained. This should not be the goal. The goal should be at the end of training or whatever opportunities, the researcher should gain skills which is needed for the future, like green economies or digitalization. So this should be the emphasis. And here, if Commission put this in the legal framework, and then the universities and the other stakeholders, which is basically the policy levels, because the first, I mean, when I look at it from a researcher's point of view, Commission did a lot in MSCA program, but this should come also from the organization. Here, I specifically means universities, and most specifically the supervisors. They have a big role to play. And here I would also like to point out that the next week, Tuesday, the next presidency event will actually deal with the role of the supervisors. So yeah, it's so there we could talk about a bit more. But here, when we talk about the framework, that there should be something, it should be part of the legal framework. It should be part of the researcher career assessment, and the organization needs to proactively provide this.
Claire, can I add one short thought? Sorry, Catherine, go.
Really quickly. No, I think you touched on a really good point, Mustafa, and it really also comes down to the point that we have to consider those trainings as essential for our career development. It's not just an add-on to somebody's portfolio. It really is something that we only have to invest time into to improve, and not just go to a 1 hour course and pick some skills up, but really actually get to the point where we use them. Jaron.
So yeah, no, I very much agree with what the two of you said. I would just like to say that I think all of us do what we can to contribute to solve this issue. And I think it should be a call to action to everyone in the room to also, engage in providing clearer information, providing better information, having central points, single points of entry where people can find, different programs and different things out there. Because all of the things that we are doing is highly confusing. There's a lot of acronyms, and I think we would make a good start by explaining that all a little bit better.
Thank you very much for this advice, the good advice. I mean, we've taken note. As Mustafa said, next week, the German presidency will organize the MSCA presidency conference, and one of the main topics of those discussions will be how to improve supervisors' guidance, and this will also be one of the priorities of the future MSCA, because we've heard from our stakeholders that this will be an essential part. What sort of maybe provide clearer guidance to the supervisors, which is something which might have been missed in the past. And you mentioned as well these career development plans. I agree with you completely, Mustafa, that we need probably to be a little bit more prescriptive. And as you say, it should not be a mere checkbox. As we are approaching the end of our session today, I have a question for all of you. We've heard that you have launched or you're carrying out a lot of initiatives. They are planned or ongoing. However, I'm sure that we could reach higher objectives. So if you had a magic wand, what would be the 3 things you would do to facilitate the career development of graduates, researchers, and PhD holders? The 1, 2, 3 things that, if they were possible, what would you recommend to do? Does it?
I think the silence indicates that this is a difficult question. No, I think for me personally, I would really start with integrating different programs, different interesting opportunities already very young in education of young people, right? So there's things like the Erasmus program, things like international masters, Erasmus Mundus, EIT labeled programs. I think these are the things that need to become more the norm rather than the exception for people to really get their minds into this innovative corner. Maybe I'm biased, but I think that would go a long way already into achieving that.
If I may add my 3 magic, so the first would be what I already said a bit, that career development should be mandatory and part of the legal framework of the institution and funding agencies. And it should be really systematic and institutionalized. And the second would be the soft skills like management, leadership, transferable skills. These should be part of the researcher's career assessment, and there should be weightage when this assessment is done. Third, most importantly, dedicated funding specifically for gaining soft skills. And that comes, I mean, right now we are talking about the magic wand and aiming higher. So we are talking about dedicated funding for career development of the researchers. But then again, I would like to emphasize that we should have more budget for that. So this would be the third wish.
I think this links a little bit maybe as well to the budget, but it really is impressive how you can see people their first time in Europe opening up to the world and connecting to others. So having funds for students to come to study in a different place, I'm not only referring to overseas students coming to Europe, but also within Europe. We feel like we are connected, but we hardly realize how much disconnect there can still be between people from different cultures, from different backgrounds, with different experiences. So I think, my one magic wish would be to keep allowing people to get together, to exchange, and to keep learning from each other, because we do have a lot to offer just by default as well. And then getting all the add-ons that have been mentioned can only make it more efficient for everybody involved.
Thank you very much for your inspiring advice. Maybe before we close the session, I see a question which might be, I think, it might be for Mustafa. It comes from Christopher Sundstrom, who is asking, what social networks do you believe are the most important for ERCs and when they are looking to connect to find new opportunities? I'm not sure if it relates to the comments that you made earlier on the ERC's.
Yeah, I can. I mean, it depends on the country and the field or the job, what you are looking for. But for example, in policy, Twitter is really like, when we talk about the social network, Twitter is probably one of the most important things. For networking, probably LinkedIn. But then again, there are the network, a social network of the organizations, which is not really a platform, rather a platform or combination of the platform. For example, as I said, when we talk about the policy, we work a lot with Eurodoc, YAE, and ISE. We are actually organizing a press conference next Monday on this. So getting to basically this network or working for this network would actually help you a bit more to expand and get future opportunities. I don't know if that answers the questions.
I think it does, but the person who asked it, I hope agrees with it. There is, I don't know if it's more of a comment or question from Brian Wanhide. Through joint events, though joint events are a good way to work together, could you open up membership to each other? I know that it is a question that has been raised in the past. So what do you think about it? Or open up some events to member of the other alumni group? I think you've mentioned that this is already being done.
All MCAA events, other than, of course, our General Assembly, which should be restricted only for member, but that's normally half a day. And we also organize the annual conference together with it, which is open for all the members. All major MCAA training and events are also open for anyone. So basically, we even have free material from our YouTube as well as the portal. So you could go and check and join. So we also actually encourage the foster and the collaboration between the organizations. So this specific topic, opening up the membership, there was a lot of discussion, at least in our association. At this moment, we would not be opening up the membership. However, there are a lot of ways to contribute. We can become a guest member in one of the working group and help and get to expand your network. However, also in future, I mean, I think your question mainly focuses on the services we provide. We will not open the membership, but we will open, or we will options also for the non-member. For example, I think within a month or two, you will see the announcement of the LinkedIn Learning. So it will be specifically for MCA members, but we would also have some courses which are from the MCA members for the non-members. So if you're interested, just check our website and yeah.
I think from our side as well, all events you want to attend are open if you would want to come. I would actually want to extend the invitation to go look for an event nearby and see if you can join it. As for the membership, I'm on a very similar page with Mustafa that it's a difficult promise to make, but welcome you are for sure.
Thank you. I understand that you are all very open to each other, which I think can only be a positive point. We only have 3 minutes left, and Cristina Gomez is asking you about EURAccess, which is another EC initiative, has also developed very interesting career development training tools. Do you collaborate with them? Very quickly, about collaboration with EURAccess. Mustafa, you want to say?
I think the question was whether EMA collaborates with EURAccess.
Not only, I think it's not only EMA, I think it's about any of the organizations.
Okay. I can talk about MCS point of view. Yes, we do. Actually, we have a very good collaboration with all the EURAccess. In fact, EURAccess Worldwide helped us to set up some of our local chapter, including North America chapter, and currently we are collaborating in Australia. And EURAccess Worldwide is also an honorary member of MCAA for this. We honored them. So we are basically collaborating a lot. Also, I'm based in Austria. We have a very good relationship with Austrian EURAccess. So MCA is collaborating with also Latin America. Actually, one of the biggest conference organized in Latin America from MCAA. This was a joint collaboration between the Ministry of Argentina, EURAccess, and MCAA, Brazil and Argentina chapter. So yes, we do.
Thank you very much. I mean, this is a network, obviously more for researchers, so I don't know if Emma is working with them or EIT. Not really, yeah.
We did speak to individual branches as well. This is something we consider. There is no current established partnership, but again, I think we are open to those connections, and it really also depends on our volunteer task force, basically, because we can only do what we have manpower for. So this can also really be an invitation for anybody who would like to support us in that way to get in touch and reach out, and we'd be happy to discuss.
Thank you very much. We've come to the end of our discussion, our dialogue. I'd like to thank you very much for all the inspiration that you have given us, the good ideas as well that we will on which we will further work with you, because we are in close contacts with your associations. It's been a very interesting, very inspiring session. So I'd like to thank you very much. To thank as well the audience for having followed that discussion, for the questions you have raised. You have seen the contact details of all the associations, of all the presidents from the associations. So please, if you have further questions, contacts, you want to join them, etc., do not hesitate to contact them directly. Thank you very much.
Thank you. It was a pleasure. Thank you. Bye.
Goodbye.
Thank
you.
Goodbye, Katarina, Jeroen, Mustafa.
Bye.
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 Thank you.